Okay guys, welcome back to Josh Does Life. I wanted to do a quick video for those who are following my aquariums. So this one is the 36 gallon top fin bow front that we picked up at PetSmart. I've made some changes to it. This one is the one that's in my son's room. The tank overall is doing really well. For a little while I had some actual green algae in the water column itself. So basically when I started out, I was running two AquaClear 30 hang on the back filters, and I had the Eheim heater in there. I've since made a change and switched over all of my aquariums to a new canister filter system, and I'll go a little more in depth about that later. But I just kind of wanted to let everybody see what the tank is looking like now, just as an update. When I switched over to this new canister filter, I cleared the water right up. So, I mean, you know, I kept trying to do some water changes. The best way that I've always dealt with green algae in the water column has been through UV sterilizers, but I didn't really want to go that route or buy one or add one on there, especially with the Planet Tank. UV sterilizers are great about killing bacteria and things in the water column. Sometimes that kills some good bacteria as well. It's a trade-off. Also, I was thinking, you know, as far as having plants in here and dosing some fertilizer, you know, it might kill out some of the stuff in the fertilizer as well. I'm not sure on that, but it seems logical to me. But anyway, everything's going well with this tank. Still have, I don't know if I actually did the video to start with. I'm not sure if I had the CO2 system set up or not at the time when I started this tank. I've had so much going on, I really don't remember. But yeah, this tank's on CO2. I've, you know, also with switching out the canister filters to a different brand, I've also started using CO2 on all the tanks. So this is what everything's looking at now. I'm gonna add some background plants that grow a little bit taller. The original plan was to use the, what's it called? Scarlet something another. It's still in there and I trimmed it back. I just really don't care for that plant. It's kind of been a few trial and error things with that. I mentioned before, I have the water sprite over the side. I left it because the cherry shrimp seem to really enjoy it, but I don't like how fast it grows. I have to trim it every week. But the cherry shrimp tend to hang out on that a lot, so I didn't want to take it out. I've got a Java fern behind that, and I'll kind of move around so you can see a little bit better. I'm just shooting this video from my cell phone as well. Let's see other updates with it. Like I've said before, you know, I've had tanks my entire life. We're experimenting now, if you hadn't been following me. We're experimenting now with planted freshwater. So it's kind of been a little bit different, a little bit of a learning curve, mainly in, even after watching videos, I've watched some videos and explanations on plants, but I don't feel like you really know how they're going to grow and respond until you just deal with them yourself. The dwarf Sagittaria, I initially wanted that, you know, kind of as a carpeting, which it does, and it's coming up a lot, and it's growing. It sends out runners, and it's growing a lot. It grows. I kind of envisioned it as like a bottom covering, like grass type thing, but you have to trim it all the time as well. I mean, it gets really tall. I think when you look at the, like on Live Aquarium, some of the websites, I think it says like max size it's either 4, I think it's 4 inches. But, I mean, I've had some of the leaves run up halfway up the tank. I mean, they branch way out. So I don't know if that's because, you know, the fertilizer I'm using or the CO2, you know, just really stimulating them. I don't know if, you know, it just varies by circumstances or how your environment is. I'm not sure how that goes, but it's a little bit different than I pictured originally. I do really still like the plant. I'm going to continue with those. I'm just going to make some changes as far as my background plants. So stay tuned and I'll let you know what I decide to do with it. This is one of those tanks, you know, there's different levels in my opinion. This is just my opinion and thoughts. There's different levels. There's, when you talk freshwater, then you have a fish only tank with decorations, stuff like that. You have a planted tank, and then you get into aquascaping. When, in my mind, it depends on who you talk to and what channels you watch, but in my mind, this is just a planted tank, because it was set up just in my son's room, and just, you know, I kind of, as a trial, put some things in there. I didn't know a whole lot about it other than what, you know, the videos I'd watched on it and a little bit I read on it. I kind of put everything together, but to me, you know, this isn't like an aquascaped tank, because though I did kind of place things in there, I didn't put a whole lot of thought and really develop a plan for everything. I think when you're actually talking aquascaping, you're doing more of a plan and layout, and a little more effort goes into it. But anyway, I'm happy with this tank the way it is. I just, you know, I've been making a few changes as I've kind of fooled around with things in the past. I've had some AquaClear hang on the back filters. You know, they've served me well. I haven't had any big issues with them, but I'm just kind of trying something new and going over to these canister filters now. So we're trying that out. I will let you know all about what I'm using as far as that goes at some point in time. I'll kind of do, not necessarily a review, but kind of a discussion of why I chose the brand that I did. Some of you can see the bar and will maybe know immediately what it is, or put two and two together with other factors. But I'll do a video on that, go over my thoughts and what I think and the reason why I made some of the changes, other than, or the why I switched all my aquariums over to this particular canister. But I'm very pleased. Like I said, I didn't have to use a UV sterilizer or anything. The water itself was kind of turning green in this tank, and after putting this canister on it, that went away. So very good job there. Fish wise, I don't think I've really added anything new since the last video I did. Maybe that dwarf gourami. I think everything else has been in there. We got some platies, we got some neon tetras. We have like 3 danios, I think. We have the nerite snails. We have the is it windstream loaches, and then we have cherry shrimp, which you can see one of those guys there, and you can see our CO2. I love those loaches. Those are really cool. They're just neat to watch. Got a little guy there. And I will do a video going over the CO2 systems that I decided to go with as well. I did a lot of research and spent a lot of time watching videos and reading articles about CO2. This is the first time I've ever dealt with CO2, but I've had it going for a number of weeks now. It's really easy to fool with, but I'll go over all that stuff in another video. Like always, I appreciate anybody watching and any followers that I have. And, you know, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And thanks again.